Hey, hey, happy
Hello.
Friday.
It's finally Friday.
Is it Friday? What day is it?
You're on double duty. You're
That's
on
right.
Sunrise this morning.
Filling in for Jay-Z.
Well, you know, we're thankful that you're here with us on this lovely Friday for KARE 11 News at noon. We're following pretty big developments from the Supreme Court, where the justices released several rulings, and we've got a report from Gymnastics City, USA, a look at the Olympic trials here in Minneapolis. You were down there yesterday.
Oh, it was such a great time. I wish I was back there. It's just a party. Plus, we've got some flooding concerns that ramp up in St. Paul. I'll have updates on the rising Mississippi and kind of a response strategy from the governor.
When I was driving going to St. Paul yesterday, I was like, whoa, there's a lot of things happening. Let's take a look at the weather today so we know what to expect.
Well, it's rain that we really didn't need today, right? I want to show you a live look at radar. It's a lot drier than what it was just a few hours ago when we had just a deluge move through the Twin Cities, right through the metro, right through the morning commute. Drier conditions out west, and we should see some peaks of sunshine. I don't think we're entirely done with the rain yet. Some isolated showers and thunderstorms, kind of hit and miss in the forecast later today. And again, it's rain that we really just don't need. Widespread, half an inch to an inch. Some locations saw over an inch of rain, including MSP, 1.1 inches of rain fell. A couple other communities did see an inch of rain or more. Yeah, it was a wet start to the day, but it should, at least the overall theme will be for us to dry out later today. It's a mostly cloudy lunchtime hour right now, but not much falling from the sky at the moment. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Overcast sky will be with us a good chunk of the day. Should see some partial clearing, and again, an isolated thunderstorm can't be ruled out as we head into the evening commute. So a few storms develop later today, but overall, a dry and cooler weekend. It does look like the sun will return. Temperatures in the lower 70s, and we'll time out some additional rain chances in your forecast coming up, Alexis.
Ben, thank you. And before we get to more on that flooding, we need to let you know about a developing story just north of the Twin Cities. Officials say a North Branch police officer shot and killed a woman late last night. Police say they were called to the area of 3rd Avenue and Elm Street for someone who was intoxicated and suicidal. The police chief says at one point an officer threw a pepper ball. Another officer shot the woman. She did not survive. It's still unclear what led up to the shooting. The BCA is now handling the case. The officers involved are on standard leave. Well, we're just days away from a historic river crest in St. Paul. The Mississippi could reach a level that we haven't seen in a decade. Cece, I know that you've been monitoring the conditions. What's the status now?
Yeah, you know, as you said, we are seeing that historic flooding along the Mississippi. And if we take a look here at the National Water Prediction Services website, we can see some real-time updates here. So right now the river is sitting at just under 20 feet here, and we're seeing that number continuing to grow all day long. And at this point, we're well above that major flood stage. The river is expected to crest at about 20.8 feet you see here by tomorrow. And if it reaches that point, it could be the 7th highest recorded crest in St. Paul. And because of that possibility, city leaders are trying to get ahead of flood damage. St. Paul declared a state of emergency on Wednesday, which would allow officials to apply for relief and when it's available. And then road closures have been added along the river. Those closures are in place until the floodwater recedes. Also, Xcel Energy is warning some customers that they may need to disconnect their natural gas and electric services as the water rises. So a lot of thought going into keeping residents informed and safe. About an hour and a half ago, Governor Walz met with FEMA to talk about a flood response strategy. We'll have more on that response plan during our evening shows, Alexis.
Cece, thank you. Valley Fair is canceling its 4th of July fireworks because of the flooding, at least for now. The amusement park made the announcement this morning. It comes after the Minnesota River took over the on-site parking area. If you're headed to the park, free off-site parking. The shuttle bus service will still be available for you. Now, park officials are also changing its operating hours to 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. until the water recedes. An Xcel Energy plant in Burnsville is facing threats of flooding as Ian Russell shows us the around-the-clock effort to protect this plant.
This is Xcel's Black Dog generating plant located on the Minnesota River and Black Dog Lake. And as that rain has continued to fall over the past 2 weeks, they really are between a rock and a hard place. If you look back behind me, crews are hard at work getting some sandbags ready. And over here you can see the results of that work as dozens of sandbags and concrete barriers have been posted up as they get ready for more rain and that water to continue to rise. In fact, the water level is so high now that some of these street signs that are out here, because this is actually a road that's out here, some of these street signs are now completely almost underwater. And back down this way, this is the front entrance to the plant, and a boat is now parked right out front.
In just a few hours, the women's U.S. Olympics gymnastic trials will begin. It comes after the men started things out last night. Michelle Beck has what we can expect.
The women kick off their competition tonight around 6:30. Gold medalist Suni Lee from St. Paul, she'll be starting on the vault, all the while managing 2 different kidney diseases that haven't been specified. We do know at least one of them does not have a cure. Let's take a look at the leaderboard this morning for the men after day 1 of trials. Spring Park native Shane Wiskus is up there. And back over on the women's side, an unfortunate announcement from Sky Blakely, who said that she ruptured her Achilles during podium training, so that means she won't be able to compete in these Olympic trials. At the Target Center, Michelle Beck, KARE 11 News.
Michelle, thank you. And here's the full schedule and where to watch. KARE 11 is one of the places you can see the trials. Only 5 men and 5 women will qualify for the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team. New at noon, we have some major decisions to tell you about from the Supreme Court. They include a ruling limiting what charges rioters in the January 6th Capitol attack can face. The court has made it harder to charge the defendants with obstruction of an official proceeding. Justices say lawyers would have to prove that defendants tried to tamper with or destroy documents. The court also ruled on a case affecting unhoused communities. Justices ruled that people without homes can be arrested and fined for sleeping in public spaces. We'll have more on the background of each case coming up at 12:30. We have a better idea today of where both President Biden and former President Donald Trump stand on key issues following last night's debate. Ivan Rodriguez brings us the key takeaways and the personal attacks.
A rancorous rematch playing out on the debate stage Thursday night.
It's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie.
President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump battling over critical issues including inflation, foreign policy, abortion, and immigration.
When he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated.
We had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history.
The clash also turned personal as each looked to define the other as unfit for office.
You're destroying our country.
You're a whiner. When you lost the first time.
Over the course of the debate, Trump repeated his frequent election denialism and hedged on whether he would accept the results of the election.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous.
While Biden's halting speech and inability to clearly communicate his vision raised concern over his biggest vulnerability, his age. Though he is drawing sharp criticism from across the political spectrum, Vice President Kamala Harris came to the president's defense.
Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people.
The candidates are slated to meet on the debate stage again in September, this time as their official party nominees. In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Well, back home, early voting is now open for the August 13th primary elections. Online tools at mnvotes.gov are now available in 11 languages. There's now a permanent absentee ballot list. As long as someone is a registered voter in Minnesota, they can get their ballots mailed for all future elections. Well, more than 2 years after the mass shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, the former chief of the school district police is facing charges. A grand jury issued an indictment of injury of a child by omission for Pete Arredondo. He's been criticized for his role in the response to the shooting that killed 19 children and 2 teachers. Arredondo claims the shooter could have not been stopped because the doors to several of the classrooms were locked. A former member of the Timberwolves staff pleaded guilty to stealing a computer hard drive with sensitive team information on it. Somak Sakar agreed to the charge of unauthorized computer access in exchange for another charge getting dropped. The drive was taken from Executive Vice President Sachin Gupta's office back on February 3rd. It contained roughly 5,700 files on it, including information about team strategy.
We're following some updates out of local Twin Cities businesses. The first, a majority of service and kitchen workers at Ann Kim's Uptown restaurant Kim's have voted in favor of unionizing. The roughly 60 cooks, dishwashers, servers, and support staff are represented by Unite Here Local 17. They say they're petitioning for better work conditions, stability, and better pay. Meanwhile, Alamo Drafthouse over in Woodbury is coming back. The movie theater posted this announcement last night. The news comes after the business closed suddenly earlier this month, but a week later, Sony Pictures Entertainment announced it bought the franchise. The Woodbury location says it plans to reopen later this summer.
Oh, that sounds kind of fun.
Which I'm glad about. That's on my list to hit